Okay, let's get into our first audience questions for 2021. Very good ones I'm looking forward to answering. First is David, do you think we really could be approaching a secession/civil war scenario after January 20th? I think that the answer is no. Now, if you step back and say, well, I'm going to just focus on, are there secessionist movements? And is there a group that would love to use militia organization and militia power to separate or to go against what is going to be a Biden-run federal government? Yeah, there's no shortage of that. But the country has changed dramatically from the times of the Civil War. In the Civil War, you had two very clearly defined factions. They were geographically much more homogenous than what we have now, where you have, even in red states, the cities are often blue. Even in blue states, the rural areas are often red, right? And now it's a very urban rural situation within states. In the Civil War, it was different. Each side had a military to back it up in a more sort of equal way. And so right now, a lot of different things have changed. First, there's this sort of geographical complexity. It's not clear like which states would be part of which side. Urban, rural, within states is the sort of circumstance. Number two, financial. Red states are not viable without blue states. And we've talked a lot about when you look at whether states pay in more or get more back from the federal government, the blue states overwhelmingly pay in more, whereas the red states are more likely to be leechers and receive more from the federal government. And absent that, a lot of those red states would not even be financially viable. And my guess would be is if you see some of these groups, militias, et cetera, escalate into bombings, shootings, et cetera, you would see the tide turn with police and National Guard forces likely putting them down without even getting to some kind of a more federal response. However, I mean, like, let's think ahead. If you imagine these red states somehow come together and they say, we're going to use combine our state National Guards. I'm speaking so hypothetically. The reddest states altogether have National Guard forces of about 200,000 troops. And the federal government is about 1.5 million troops. And they have all the real firepower. And so from a purely logistical perspective, I'm not saying that right-wing militias can't cause chaos. Oh, they absolutely can. They can cause chaos. They can cause death. They can do horrible, horrible things. But the circumstances are simply not ones that would lend themselves to a true civil war. And if the federal army, if the army were to be used by the federal level to suppress this, homegrown militias are not going to be a match for the U.S. military, for better or worse. We can talk about military industrial complex. We can talk about all of these other things. But I actually think the more interesting topic is, are there enough just people willing and interested in that? I know that, half the country or a third for 35% of the country didn't vote. Of the people that voted for Trump, half believe that Trump is ultimately going to be sworn in. Some of those, when Trump is not sworn in, might be really, really angry. And some subset of those might want to secede. And some subset of those might be willing to actually go and fight for that in some way. The point is, I don't think there's enough people actually interested in that you're really going to see any significant movement along those lines. And I've talked before, we have an economic situation that is designed to prevent people from organizing in that way. And this is for better or worse. I've talked about how cheap stuff from China combined with easy access to credit cards and personal credit, keeps people relatively comfortable enough. Doesn't mean that there's no poverty, doesn't mean that there's no hunger, but even people who otherwise might not, like without credit and cheap stuff from China, there would be lots of people who on a day-to-day live far worse, far less comfortably than they do. So a lot of people are just going to say, do it. I kind of would rather just hang out and, watch sports, not do whatever it is these secessionists want me to do. combined with the fact that due to stagnant wages and the precarious financial situation of many people, a lot of people, let's go wage a civil war and try to secede. I'll be gone for 2 weeks. Wait a second. Then I lose health care and lose my income. And then if we don't succeed when I get back, what do I have? I lose my house. My car gets repossessed or whatever. So that is to some degree by design in the system that we have. And I've spoken about that before. So I do not expect that is going to lead to anything even approximating the real threat of what we might recognize as a civil war. If you are anything like me, you probably aren't thrilled with the idea of going into a doctor's office right now. And thankfully, there's a practical and affordable way to take control of your health and get personalized care from the comfort of your home. It's a service called SteadyMD. They're one of our sponsors. You take a quiz, you get matched with a licensed primary care physician who understands your health needs. You have a 1-hour video call with your new doctor. You establish a meaningful relationship with them. And after that, your doctor is available to you anytime by text, phone, or video chat. This is not a random doctor on call. Each doctor at SteadyMD has a limited number of patients, so they actually have time to listen to you. You get the personal attention that you deserve. They can do almost everything an in-person doctor can do: perform medical evaluations, talk to you about health concerns, send prescriptions to your home or local pharmacy, and anything they can't do online, they'll quickly set you up with an in-person provider to do, things like blood tests as an example. You don't need insurance. It's only $99 a month with no other fees or copays. I took their quiz. They matched me with a doctor who specializes in my particular health needs and situation. The doctor they gave me is a really perfect fit for me and my medical needs. They have a special offer only for my audience. You'll get 50% off your first month, but only until January 31st. So make sure to sign up soon. Click the link right underneath this video.